So I've recently created a Cisco Umbrella seat calculator, and what this allows somebody to do is enter the number of seats that they think they will require for an umbrella deployment, as well as the K through 12 students or higher education students for the different subscription tiers as well, as you can see. And then based on the average DNS queries per day per user, which are allowed, give you the required amount of seats. Now, you can change the average DNS queries per day per user just to calculate the accurate amount of numbers that you need. So if you have, say for instance, 300 employees, but the DNS query count is higher than 5,000 per user per day, then you can actually change that and it will give you the number of seats required. Now, any customer or anybody looking at entering into an enterprise agreement, we can also select yes or no. And what this is going to do is going to recalculate the total number of seats allowed based on the allowance you get with the enterprise agreement as well. We can also calculate the utilization for any existing customers, I would say, anyone that's already using Umbrella. And then for the SIG versions, the average and the peak bandwidth can be calculated as well, giving you the SIG utilization, and it can also let you know whether you need additional SIG users based on the bandwidth that is being consumed. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly run through a quick example. I have put instructions down here in the Excel sheet as well. So what we'll do is we'll just say, for example, we've got 1,500 employees, and we can say this is an educational institute. So what we'll do is we'll say 500 students, for example. So you can see there it's already calculated the total number of seats required. Now, if we knew that DNS queries were going to be more than 5,000, what we could do is we could say 6,000, and there you can see it's going to recalculate the total number of seats required based on how we do the calculation here at Cisco. So that's basically that. Now, if we wanted to enter into an enterprise agreement, we can see here that the allowance is changed. So the total number of seats now will be 6,000 in terms of allowance. Let's just change that back to no. And then what we can do is, again, if we change this to, let's say, average DNS quests, so you can see that the utilization now has changed to 40%. So this is 40% over 100%. So if we put it back down to 5,000, you can see the utilization is 0. That's basically means that you are at full utilization, you're not underutilizing, you're not overutilizing. If you drop this to, let's say, 3,000, you can see there that it's now turned to -40. So that's under 100%. So you're 40% under 100%. So we'll just quickly change that back to 5,000. Now, if we go down to our SIG essentials, let's do one for SIG. So let's say we've got a user count of 3,000. And our DNS requests are 5,000 per user per day, which is great. We're not entering into an EA, so we can see that our utilization is bang on. It's not over, it's not under. Now let's talk about our peak bandwidth per user per month. So let's say, for instance, we have 1,500 per user per month. That's going to give us 100% SIG utilization, and per user per day that's going to be 50 kilobits per second, as you can see there, which is the allowance as per the MSLA. So in terms of utilization, we're at peak, we're at full utilization. We don't need additional users. Now let's say, for example, we actually have a peak bandwidth per user per month of, say, 2000. Now you can see that on an average per user, it's going to be 67 kilobytes per second. And then we have a SIG utilization as a result of 133%. So based on those calculations, that tells us that based on the SIG utilization alone and how the calculation is done, that tells us that the additional SIG users required there is going to be 1,000 to cover that amount of usage that's required. So it gives you a good idea of sort of what you are looking at for a particular Umbrella deployment. This is great for whether you have an existing deployment, whether you're looking at actually going with Umbrella for the first time and want to work out the total number of seats that you think you're going to be required. This is good for looking at renewals. So if you're renewing your Umbrella subscription and you want to just plug in some figures and understand what sort of utilization you're looking at, then this is also a good way to calculate that as well before your renewal. So have a play with it, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. This is available on my website, networkwizkid.com, under downloadable content. So do check that out if you are interested.